What's going on, people? Welcome to McKola and
Howson
Uncensored. Yeah.
What's your name?
McKola.
Stephen Howson. Nice to be here.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. How are you?
It's all right. I'm all right. Why hasn't Steve turned up again?
Well, Steve can't make it today.
So
Is that a difficult week?
he
So
just
can't be
doesn't
here.
turn up.
Yeah, but I turn up instead, so you actually get a better video, if anything.
It is for me.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you guys at home will think it's better. Maybe this is like a little Uncensored meets PL Piss Take kind of.
Premier League Uncensored, if you will.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what today's going to be. What we're going to be talking about, we're going to talk about transfers, we're going to be talking about Erling Haaland, and I finally get to question you on Anthony Martial and whether he needs replacing.
Finally.
You
do this every week.
Here's what happened. No, I tried to talk about it on the watch long, and you said I work for the Sun, so I haven't brought it up since. Because you're a dickhead, right? So I haven't brought it up since, and since then, Man United have been repeatedly linked with Erling Haaland, and then recently, Haaland has been linked to Manchester City as well. So there's a little bit to go through there.
And there was a quote maybe about a week ago where Haaland kind of, I don't know whether it was a quote that was attributed to him and it maybe wasn't really his, but there was an article that floated about that said he was interested or United were on his list of teams.
Exactly.
So that's obviously interesting. And obviously, Erling Haaland, I suppose that will eventually lead to the age-old debate, Haaland and Mbappe. Who would you have more out of them two?
I also want to talk a little bit about Paul Pogba and his potential for a contract extension, and whether you think he should, and whether you think United should, and whether you think just the whole situation around that is so bizarre. We'll be talking a little bit about that, and also we'll be having a bit of a relax and a little bit of a chat.
I mean, we're
in Howson and McKola
bar,
style. Yeah. What you got your eye on there of the rums? What have you got there? Rum and Coke?
Yeah,
Good lad.
something like that. I like...
Would you say you're a Coke addict? Like Rishi Sunak did yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to Coke, if anything. No, Coca-Cola. That was one of the best things I've ever seen.
Defo, he is addicted. He said it himself.
Yeah, he
on
did.
camera. I like a bit of Mount Gay rum.
Yeah, that's nice.
Because when we go Barbados as well, we always get that. Because like whenever they give you the rum punch and all that, it's always Mount Gay, and it's always nice.
That sounds fantastic.
And we always end up bringing shitloads back, clinking and clanking in your
through duty free and that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Right, let's talk about football. Let's talk about Manchester United. Let's talk about Erling Haaland and Anthony Martial. Anthony Martial, who, what would you say about his season so far?
Dreadful. In the main, dreadful. I think. Look, let me talk about Martial first, then I'll talk about the things that we saw against Crystal Palace, which can explain why it has also been difficult for him at times. But him himself, I think he started the season well, performance-wise. Like, even if you think about that Spurs game, it was him that darts through and wins the penalty. Like, he started the season well. That red card, like, it just killed his momentum that he carried from last season into this season. And then I think the lack of a pre-season. I even remember, I remember thinking about this the other day. There was a game for France where he went with France.
Yes.
And he scored a goal he never got given him.
No. And he got an assist in the game before as well, didn't he?
Yeah. And like there was a few moments where, and then there was a game after that where he had 3 great chances. He missed them all.
Leeds.
And it was like, for France.
Oh, sorry.
And I mean, it's just like, there's been moments where, like, Sheffield United, he scores a goal, gets disallowed. And you're like, there's been moments where he could have built that momentum. But ultimately, his performances haven't been good enough. And you can see he's got inside his own head at times. And he's like shrugging his shoulders. But I do think the people that say that means he doesn't care, I find that a little bit unfair. Because the other day, I seen him bat a fuck out of the post when we were taking a corner. And I'm thinking, he clearly cares. Obviously, he's like a Berbatov figure. He doesn't show it how everybody else shows it, maybe. So I find some of the conversation around him that gets pulled out a little bit weird.
There's a question on that, before we move on, about his attitude and his demeanour and all that. And no one minded that he was, stone-faced and sort of slightly...
It was ice-cold Martial.
Yeah,
then,
when he's scoring, it's ice-cold. When he's not scoring, it's low effort.
It's ice-cold?
Yeah, exactly. He's cold in front of goal. But do you think that because now it's been, close to sort of 5 or 6 months of poor form now. It's not just, 3 or 4 weeks. Do you think at some point, if you were him, and obviously you're not him and we aren't footballers, but you would have tried running, like doing the things that, like, upping your effort, upping your sprints, upping your runs in behind.
I think
just try something different.
I think he has to do that anyway.
Yeah.
As when you're in a number 9 position, you have to be able to make chances for yourself. Like, you have to be able to do that. But there's also been times where he's gone for the 1-2 with someone. A lot of times, and the ball just doesn't come back.
Yeah.
And you'll see him go in, and ask for the ball, and no one gives him. And if you see, one of the things with United this season, even if you look at the games where Martial doesn't play, we don't create enough chances. The interplay is not there.
Yeah.
And we need to do that to create chances for your number 9s, to give him a chance. Like, when your number 9's out of form, if you present him 3-4 opportunities, he can get a goal, he'll get back into the swing of things. But at the moment, we're expecting Cavani, Marshall, Greenwood, whoever that plays in that position, to almost go on, do something then. And I was kind of like, you see the way we play against Palace with Cavani there, just no service for him. And he's got elite movement. So I do think it's part to do with the team, mainly to do with, look, Martial's got to look after his own form. And you see Marcus Rashford, like, I don't think Marcus Rashford particularly had a good season, but he's making sure he's getting the goals, he's getting the assists. Bruno Fernandes, when he doesn't have a good game, he'll make sure. And Martial has to do that more. Make a bad pass a good pass.
Yeah.
Get in behind, do all these things. But a lot of the time, I think he is looking for 1-2s and that. Well, and they don't come.
That's the thing with Martial. I think his best movement comes when he's part of the build-up.
Yeah.
Whereas Cavani can not have touched the ball, can go, Lindelof, Maguire, Matic, Shaw, Rashford, Cavani. And Cavani's running the whole time. Whereas Martial likes it to be Martial, Rashford, Martial, Shaw, Martial. His best movement comes when he's doing the 1-2s, he's doing the link-up.
But that helps other players as well.
It does,
like,
definitely.
If you see Marcus Rashford at the moment, I feel like he's lost a bit of that in his pursuit for, which you have to rate, I want goals and assists. But also, we need to, last season, they beat Cole and York's record at United for the link-up goals. We haven't seen nowhere close to that. And I do think the partnerships that we created, last season, we haven't utilised them this season.
No.
Like, remember, Greenwood scored a great goal against Villa. And it was Martial wins it on the halfway line, 1-2, 1-2. Haven't really seen that. Bruno and Rashford have kind of, but when they're not doing it, the team isn't doing it. And what we've seen a lot, and I think this is a Martial problem and a team problem. So it's Martial's fault and it's a team problem. How many times do you see, let's say this is the corner of the park, and then you've got your left winger who's Rashford, you've got your left back who's Shaw coming up. So here's Rashford, here's Shaw, and Martial's here. So Martial will give the ball to Shaw, come back in for the 1-2, and then he'll get dragged over here, which is a problem with him anyway, because he likes to go to that left-hand side. But then we'll have those three there in the corner, and then maybe Fred will trot over as well, and we'll just have a little rondo in the corner, and it's like, this isn't going anywhere.
No, and then you've got Greenwood here somewhere, and Bruno there as well, and then nothing in the middle.
And then you'll see a lot of the time, you'll see Martial kind of just standing in there like...
Yeah.
So in that instance, you have to go, fuck me, I need to get in the middle of the box.
Yeah.
So maybe one of these lads can whip it or get an... So in that instance, you have to think like a striker. But also, the fact that the team is ending up in that area suggests there's issues. You get what I mean?
Yeah, our build-up play isn't smooth, is it? It doesn't feel like it's coordinated and calculated.
Would say, I haven't had a pre-season. And so let's use Crystal Palace and City game, for example, now. So Crystal Palace was Wednesday. Yeah. Sunday, the game. So you've got Thursday is recovery, right? Yeah. So the players will be ice baths and stretches, massages, like I imagine.
Bag of chips, maybe.
Yeah, if Moyes has got it back on the menu. Friday will be who's available. Can we,
assessing
have
the
you
squad.
Feeling anything? Let's do a training session. But they haven't got much time in there to be able to work on patterns of play, build up, all those things. But then Crystal Palace don't either.
No.
Sheffield United don't either.
But they don't rely
West
on
Bromwich Albion don't either.
breaking teams down and playing through
But
teams.
you still have to prepare defensively.
Yeah, of course.
So I think we make it way too easy for teams to defend against us, especially when Bruno and Rashford don't perform. And Martial has to improve himself at that. But I think the team as a whole need to improve at creating chances for the striker. Not for Martial, for whoever that striker is. Think about Arsenal, Cavani, 2 chances. Come on.
It's not a lot, is it?
Like, come on.
When like the best conversion rate in the world is like 1 in 3, and you get 2 chances and everyone's mad at you for not scoring one of them. It's like if you do 1 in 3 through your whole career, you're one of the best strikers ever, and yet you're mad because you didn't score 2. Like it's not easy. Over a season, strikers take 4, 5, 6 shots.
And also with Tony as well, it could just be he's having a bad time. Has he react? Like, again, these are excuses. Everyone's going through the same things. Football players are highly paid, this, that. I know all the things that people are going to comment below. But like Ali commented, like, maybe some players need to get a break, need to get out of this, need to go to the cinema or what, just when you're in a rut of form, sitting in that, like, I use myself, for example. It's not football based. The other week when my head went, you know what happened. Like, I was sat at home just depressed. And I remember thinking, like, this isn't helping. This, like, I'm still in my head, you know what I mean?
You can't go for a walk.
Break.
You can't go play five-a-side with your mates. You can't go to TGI Fridays or the pub or whatever it is. You can't do any of that. So once you're in your head,
stuck in your own emotions, and if that's positive, you'll be super positive. And if that's negative, you'll be super negative. And footballers they're human, innit? Humans, like, maybe Marshall loves when we sing his song and it makes him, maybe he's got all this social media shit and he feels like shit. But when he's at Old Trafford and he feels loved because we're singing his song and that, it makes it, I don't know. Again, these are excuses, but these little things, no pre-season, all that has an impact. But he also, and this is a big point because we're going to move on to Haaland soon. Like, I don't think Haaland will make a move this summer.
Just because
So I think they'll sell Sancho and they'll keep Haaland to the next summer, yeah?
Yeah.
So with Cavani coming as well, and I think this has actually been probably Ollie's idea, Cavani comes in 1-2 years, Haaland, and that gives Martial next season to prove, and the back end of this, that wasn't me.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? He's then got that, and it'll be hopefully a normal season again and all that kind of... Because I don't think Haaland will be moving this summer.
No. And I think he might do, because if they want to get more than that 72 million for him, they have to do it this year. Because otherwise he's going for the buyout clause next year, isn't he? So if they want to get 100 million or whatever, they're not going to do that next year.
But his goals, again, I'm not sure on the Bundesliga prize money and all that, getting Champions League football for an extra season could be worth the same.
Yeah, because they're not safe for that yet, are they?
Yeah, I mean, they're fighting for it at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
With him.
There's been quite a few reports about Haaland this week, and we'll talk about those in just a minute. But before that, Adam, this podcast is brought to you by Manscaped.
That's why you're here.
Why?
Because, you're the Manscaped
I'm the
guy.
Manscaped man, aren't I?
Yeah.
I'm the Manscaped coordinator for the northwest of England.
The Manscaped rep.
Yeah, this show on Stretford Paddock is sponsored by Manscaped, and you know about Manscaped, Adam, because below the belt is as important as above the belt. Now, at most barbers, they don't say, "Oh, do you want us to do your beard and your bollocks?" They don't say that. And I don't know why they don't say that. It's madness that they don't say it. But they don't. So we have to do it ourselves. And all of a sudden, we have to be getting the scissors out, getting these rusty old razors that your dad used to use on the sides of his head. Like all of these things. It's like, no, there's a better way. There's a company that has been designed from the balls up for your balls. And that is Manscaped. They've got the Perfect Package 3.0, which has got the refresher. It's got a Linctus, a moisturiser to put on your boys when you get out of the shower. Every single day I get out and I come in this office and you go, bloody hell, Joe, your balls smell fantastic. Don't you? And you say it every time and I say, I know, it's Manscaped. And then here's another thing. Sometimes you're in a bit of a rush. You're like, right, I'm going straight from work and I'm going to the pub. I mean, not at the moment, but you know how life gets. And sometimes I ain't got time for a shower. Well, let's use the mister. We can re-fragrance those testicles. A little spray on there. So it's not just the clippers. It's not just the nasal hair trimmers. There's all sorts going on. And now, If that wasn't enough, Adam, we all suffer from BO occasionally, don't we? We all suffer from, you go out sometimes and your shirt, you didn't get it dry in time. It's got a touch of damp on, but you needed that shirt to impress the boys, the girls. So you still got to go out, and sometimes you want to smell good. And to do that, Manscaped have brought out their very own fragrance. And it's called Refined, isn't it? What do you think? What do you think of the packaging?
What is it? Eau de fragrance? Is it a cologne?
It's a cologne.
It's a cologne.
Comes in
So
a
that
lovely
means
glass
it's
bottle.
some good shit.
It means it's some good shit. It's none of this like watered down nasty rubbish.
You do toilet.
Yeah, you do your own toilets, mate. This comes in a lovely glass bottle with a wooden finish. It's elegant. It's classy. It can impress people. Just the look of it and the smell is good as well because it fits the range. So you've already got it on you boys.
And you know what?
It's a similar kind of smell.
I got mine as well. Remember? Manscaped sent us out some to the boys. I used it. The thing's got a light on.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah, the trimmer, the lawnmower 3.0.
So when you're getting
right, how good is that light?
There,
and
you underrate how good. Because occasionally, you know, when the light's coming from up there, and you're leaning
and let's say you've
there,
got a canopy,
you are creating shadow on your old boys, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you need that light.
You need
That's
the light.
really good. That light.
You don't think of that. That's the sort of thing that a company designed
the anti-nick
for your
technology
balls.
is something. And again, we are plugging them because this is an ad, but also this is a goddamn truth.
Yeah.
Sometimes I used to nick my old boys.
It's the worst.
And you know what? You think, oh, got away with that one. Look down 5 seconds later, there's blood everywhere. Like, how does that much blood come out of that much of a nick?
Because they get, do you know most razors, they go like that, and they just like grab like 2, 3, 4 dots of blood or odds, and it just sort of seeps through, and you're like, fucking hell, what am I going to do? Put 8 bits of tissue down there. But with Manscaped, you don't have to worry about that. It's fantastic. Ceramic blades, replaceable as well.
Like the little jazzy, the little jazzy fragrance for your balls. It's great as well.
Just pop a bit of that on there, actually, a little top up for the afternoon. But make sure you check out Manscaped and use the code Paddock20 for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. And also, check out that Perfect Package 3.0. It's a great gift as well for any... I mean, do you know what? It's Manscaped, but I reckon if you bought your missus one of them,
yeah,
we'd all find
Mother's Day coming up.
Mumscaped. We'd find a use for it. Mumscaped. That isn't an official website and it's not part of the advert. But go to manscaped.com. The link is in the description as well. So click on the link in the description and use the code Paddock20. Like I said, 20% off and free shipping. Get refined. Get Manscaped. Right.
They are my favourite. Like, you know what? Sometimes when we've got to do a plug,
you probably shouldn't say this.
It's the game. Like we have to do it. That's how we pay the bills and that.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're like, oh. You know, they're making us do that. But this, we all love.
You're like Angelina's candy floss. You're like, I don't even eat candy floss, but I'll do it.
Yeah.
But Manscaped, I literally use.
I have balls.
I use the cleanser and the toner every day, and I Manscape maybe once every couple of weeks.
And what's the lady friend or how does she feel about it?
She loves it. Yeah, she said it's never been better. It's like a sort of distinct topiary down there. I've shaved it into a little pattern.
It's like she knows before Manscaped and after Manscaped.
She says she goes down and says you've Manscaped, haven't you?
Yeah.
I say, yeah, I have. That's why there's a little topiary Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in there.
You've changed for the better since you met Manscaped, is what his lady friend says.
Yeah, she did say that.
So you get on the old Manscaped.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Link
and
in
we'll
the
move on
description.
to
Erling
Haaland.
Haaland. Now,
I reckon he uses Manscaped.
he's got to use something. Although we don't.
He's
really,
a big man.
He don't really have eyebrows and that, does he? So I reckon
he does.
could be
They're blonde though.
Yeah, but I think from a distance, you wouldn't even know what was going on down there if you saw it.
But
I think
you might not see it, but it's how you feel, isn't it?
When you're feeling it.
He'd feel it.
He would.
He'd feel that sweatiness and that little bit of grimness.
Yeah, you don't want that.
So I reckon he's well.
Like a little nest of angel hair pasta or something. That's what we mentioned. Right, talking about Haaland, let's not talk about whether he gets Manscaped or not. He's been linked with Manchester United. He's also been linked with Manchester City.
Every fucker else as well.
He's been linked with everyone, but I think they're the two at the moment that I've seen most commonly. And we saw Ollie in recent press conferences talking about how he still talks to Haaland.
Chelsea
he likes to catch up with him. Chelsea have been linked with him as well, but they have just spent 250 million quid, which they can't keep doing.
Have you seen their owner, mate?
I know, but I mean, financial fair play wise, at some point they're going to get caught out with that.
But I think them having not spent, well, they spent in those transfer ban windows, but having spent less, that will help them, won't it?
Yeah, because they had the transfer ban. They still got Pulisic in. They still got
50 million.
Kovacic. Kovacic was 50 million as well, wasn't
I know he was on loan and then they made
But
it.
still,
but you
though,
still had to register him and stuff. So that's a bit weird.
Yeah, it's well because they'd registered him as a loan player. They didn't
Yeah.
have to register him again when they bought him. So they got around it there and they still spent money. But they don't. I know they spend a lot of money, but they don't usually spend 250 million, which is what they spent last summer.
When you get a transfer ban,
Yeah.
you're not banned from spending money.
No.
You're banned from registering players.
Yeah.
So you could buy players and just keep them there.
Well,
without
Arda
registering.
Turan at Barcelona is the perfect example of that. They bought him from Atletico Madrid in the summer, and they couldn't play him till January. He just trained for 3 months, and then even when he could play, they barely played him. But yeah, it's not a transfer. But like you spent too much money, you spent money the wrong way. So what are you going to do? Stop us spending money? No. You can spend as much money as you want. You just can't register the players you bought with that money. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Cheers.
It
Ridiculous.
does make sense because
Does it?
Because you're very unlikely to buy a player you can't register. But at the same time, you could buy a player and put him on loan.
Yeah, I don't quite understand it. But anyway, Haaland to Manchester United.
I don't think this one happens.
Do you
My
not?
gut feeling is.
Why not?
That's why I'm not getting excited about it.
First of all, then, do you think Ollie wants him?
100%.
Yeah.
Instead-
That goes. I mean,
I
he's
don't think
he's
there's
basically
another
said
manager
isn't
that
he?
wants him as much as Ollie.
Yeah. Because he literally said, he's at Dortmund now. After that, we'll see what happens. That is the sort of quote that Man United fans have been getting furious about Paul Pogba saying for the last 2 years. And now Ole is literally saying it about Haaland, and people are going, nah, he don't mean it. It's like, well, Paul Pogba's brother meant it when he said it about someone else. Ole is literally saying this sort of inflammatory, we'll see what happens transfer sentence, and people are going, nah, he don't mean that. It's like, yes, he does mean that.
He's got that relationship with him as well, which I think is important. So there'll be some form of communication there. Even if it's just a friendly communication.
Nice goal.
Like,
Scissor kick and
congratulations or whatever. So I still think there'll be that
Well done on the
communication
semi-finals
there.
from Haaland to Ole.
Yeah. And so I think there's a possibility. I just feel I'm not certain it happens. I feel he'll end up at Manchester City. Obviously, his father
And
played for them.
Did you see
He's a
his-
Leeds fan. I'm
was
not
a-
saying suggesting he goes to
No.
Leeds, but
That might
there's
stop him
Chelsea
going
are
to
in
United.
for him. You've got. I doubt he goes PSG. I think he'll
Yeah.
look for a step up in league.
I
Rather
mean,
than
Real
a
Madrid
sideways step.
have got a sort of a vacuum at strike. I know they've
But
got
they want
Karim
Mbappe,
Benzema,
don't they?
supposedly, but he's going to cost you twice what Haaland will cost you.
Mm.
You know, Mbappe, they're going to want 150 million for Mbappe.
If you forget the money,
Yeah,
if you could have either,
that's such a tough question, isn't it?
I don't think it is for me. And I'll tell you, I'd pick it based on how they make me feel when I watch him. rather than-
Watching Mbappe is one of the most exciting. He's one of the most exciting players to watch. But Haaland has got a sort of imperious size and not. He's got that Zlatan. I know he gets compared to a lot because he's Scandinavian and he's 6'5" and he can't stop scoring. But he's got a sort of a presence to him that for me Mbappe doesn't have. But Mbappe on the ball and off the ball in counter attacks. Imagine the counter attacks we could have with Rashford and Mbappe in the same counter attack, let alone who's through the middle. Or if you could play Mbappe as the number 9. I just think that, and again, this is maybe a bit old-fashioned thinking now, but not everyone does adapt to the Premier League. I think we know players of Haaland's, when you're going through the top trumps of height, aerial ability, left foot, right, that kind of thing, poaching. I think people of Haaland's build and qualities are an almost certainty to work in the Premier League. And if we're struggling for a goal in the 90th minute, we can just chip balls to him and he'll win headers. He pulls off men really well.
He does what?
Excuse me. Whereas Mbappe, whilst he could be just as good or better, I just think it's not as certain to work in the Premier League. So I would go Haaland, I think.
You could make the argument that we need a Haaland more. Because Mbappe, I know he's a striker, but you probably wouldn't play him through the middle for United, would you? He'd be one of the other two, innit?
Yeah,
Either
probably on
side.
the right hand side.
So I'd argue that we need a Haaland more. But there's something about Haaland when I watch him, and it looks weird. Do you get what I mean?
It
It looks wrong.
I think that's
you
what
know
the
when
people call
someone
him
makes
a
a pro
robot.
clubs player and he's just way too tall and he's just running and his arms.
And then they always say like a bumblebee, because of its body dimensions, shouldn't be able to fly.
Yeah.
When you watch Haaland, you're like, he shouldn't be able to be a professional footballer.
And his moves weird, like he's gonna knee himself in the face, and
it's like,
it's really weird. I don't get. Is that sustainable?
I don't know. He's injured all the time. The thing is, he's got like 43 goals in 44 games in the Bundesliga for Dortmund, which is a better return than Mbappe gets. But
would you say it's a harder league?
I think they're similar, to be honest. I don't think Bundesliga is necessarily harder to score in than the French league. But he does get injured a bit, Haaland does, and he's missed sort of 10 or so games this season with injury, which isn't loads, but
that's
he's only young.
Younger, maybe hasn't grown
maybe
into his
so
body yet.
You never quite got to it. You're saying Mbappe?
If it was just forget what you need,
Yeah.
you got 2 players to build your team around. I'm going on Mbappe.
Really?
For United, we probably need that 9.
And I think we've
figure
got a
a little
much
bit
higher
more.
chance of getting Haaland. I don't think there's any real way we could get Mbappe.
Well, I mean, if Chelsea believe they got a chance and Liverpool believe they got a chance with Mbappe, then
Yeah, but
I
that
would
Liverpool
expect
one was
us
like
to be in and
a
around.
conspiracy theory rather than an actual reason, wasn't it? It's like the
LeBron
Nike.
and Nike and all that.
So loads of teams are sponsored by Nike.
And we... Did we? No. And also, you know, on those sponsorship things, so you know Nike, they like to get an Adidas, like, you know, someone that wears Adidas boots, they don't mind if he's in a Nike shirt because that fucks up what's going on with them. And you've still got, when you're advertising Nike, you're advertising Adidas. So they like that.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Fuckery. Yeah.
Yeah, because every time he's in a United shirt, if he's got Nike boots on, he's still being sponsored by Adidas.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think Haaland is the most likely option of those two. The other one is obviously Sancho, and again this week there's been more reports about the chances of him leaving Dortmund, the chance of him joining Manchester United. This has been going on for close to 2 years now, or certainly 18 months or so, since before last January. Do you think that's more likely? You said before you think Sancho is more likely to leave Dortmund this summer and then Haaland next summer. If he does leave, would you still put United at the top of the list in terms of who's got the best chance of signing him?
Did Thomas Tuchel work with him?
Yeah.
Tommy Tuchel.
Yeah. He only left Dortmund.
Could he
I think he did.
Could he
Actually,
try and get that relationship going again?
I think
Shall
he
I
did
Google
work with him.
Tuchel
Yeah,
and
check
Sancho?
that. I think they did because Tuchel was only at PSG for 2 years, wasn't he? But maybe he wasn't because anyway.
Because I'm just thinking, would he maybe? Well, there's an article it's from the Daily Star, so take it with a grain of salt. Thomas Tuchel keen to hijack Man United's plans as Chelsea. So I imagine those rumours have come based on the fact that he used to manage him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's Tuchel and Neymar.
But either way, I think Chelsea could do with someone like that. I mean, they bought Ziyech, didn't they? Who was supposed to do that kind of job.
So maybe they go to invest in the defence in the future, maybe in the midfield. But yeah, Jadon Sancho, I'd put us near the top of the list for, money wise. We'll probably be in with a better chance. I know we're still going to be affected, and Ali pretty much commented on that recently, didn't he? So I do still think we'll be affected.
And then
by
today,
but that price is going to drop as well.
Yeah, yesterday we found out United's debts have gone up by 60 million this quarter.
Well, I mean, we're stuck with them forever.
460 million.
I mean,
in
it
debt
started
now.
at 700 million, by the way.
And it went down to
The
like
Glazers
200
have taken
something.
$1 billion away from us, bro. Over $1 billion. The fucking leeches.
And it went down to like
Pussy
200 and something, didn't it? And then it's gone
Pricks.
back up to 400.
Fucking bench.
They want that debt there. They like it.
Fucking leeching bastards. Dortmund are 5th at the moment. 3 points off 4th. Is 4th Champions League spot there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd love it if they missed out on
Me
top
too.
4. Because that means...
And do you know what that'd do? That'd fuck them so much for playing what was a stupid game with Sancho last year. They knew he wanted to join us. They knew we were willing to buy him. We knew they were willing to sell him. And they said 120 million euros, which is, in what was even then a COVID-riddled marketplace, too much money, wasn't it? It was 100 million, you can sort of go, yeah, but 120 is like an extra notch on top of that. Another Dan James on top.
He scored 6 in his last 8 games.
Good lad.
He's killing it.
I mean, he's a good player, isn't he? And I think United need a player like that. And back to your point before, and you said this on the watch along, if you'd have stuck Haaland in instead of Cavani against Crystal Palace, he wouldn't have got a goal because the ball never went near Cavani.
And that's the thing.
But if you get someone like Sancho, we might have got a goal because he could set it up.
When Martial was playing, and I used to say that, people used to go, you're only saying that because it's... So, like, when it happens, and I think a lot of the praise Cavani's been getting has been just because he isn't Martial. Obviously, he's elite move. Like, I'm not saying obviously, but I feel like the praise has been ranked up 2, 3, 4 times just because he's not Anthony Martial. And you need to see that we're not creating enough chances, man. No. We're not. And if Paul Pogba does leave in the summer, I hope he stays. I hope he signs a deal. We can talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
We need Jack Grealish. You hear him talking about himself on, I can't remember what the interview was. It might have been the one with Harry Pinero. Shout out Harry P. The quotes have been going everywhere.
What's he been saying?
Harry Pinero, I think it was on UMM, interviewed Jack Grealish, and he was talking about how last year he created chances, but he didn't create enough clear-cut chances. So he looks like a guy that really focuses on his stats, what he can improve, how he can improve. And he said this year, my clear-cut chances, my XG and all that bollocks stuff, he goes to a lot higher. And we need those kind of players because if you look at Bruno, he will create goals because of the way he plays and assists. But we're not playing like close enough to him.
No.
So when he gets the ball,
he's got Fred.
He's thinking,
just
I'm
behind
shooting.
him, and that's it.
And that's what Rashford and Greenwood and everyone's thinking. And because Fred and McTominay, it's like we got 2 6s and a 10. No bastard 8. I don't know. Sorry, Matic played against him.
And also, we don't have, even if we do have one of, this is what I've always said about, Paul Pogba shouldn't play in the 6 and stuff. And this is why I don't always like it being boiled down to a number, is because Paul Pogba playing deep is not the same as Fred playing deep or Matic playing deep. Paul Pogba can create chances from 25 yards outside of his own goal. None of the others can do that. The ball. Remember the goal last season? Or I think it was last season. The ball over the top of the Tottenham defence to Rashford. Maybe the season before.
Ali's first season.
Yeah, where it's across the goalkeeper. That was an incredible pass from about 35 yards out, straight through on goal, straight in the back of the net. Fred can't do that. And the one time he did do it, the other week against Real Sociedad, is a standout in my mind as, bloody hell, that was Fred. Like, Pogba can do that. And that's why
and
when
he
you
can
say...
also...
Yeah.
Turn out the press. Obviously, he gets caught in the press sometimes, but he can turn out the press and move with the ball forward.
Yeah.
Fred does that sometimes, but as he's moving forward with the ball, you can see his decision-making process going along in his head, and the passes that he could make, he misses, and man. And Fred's not to blame, by the way. And Fred, I'm not saying sell him, because I think Fred will be a crucial part of the squad. Same with McTominay.
Yeah.
But they're not the one to be there.
Is Van der
Fred
Beek
and
the one to be
McTominay
there?
are the ones that you should be bringing in for Pogba when Pogba needs a rest.
Is Van der Beek the one?
I think he's a better 6 than Fred, personally. I feel like Ollie does deserve a bit of criticism for this. For like, people like to think we just sit here and praise Ollie all the time. We don't. Obviously, we support him. We want him to do well. We want him to succeed as Man United manager. But that doesn't mean you can't criticise certain aspects of his management. And I feel like he was injured the other day, so this isn't about Palace, and it's not a reaction to that. But Bruno, fatigued as fuck, man. And like, why haven't we been using this guy? And when you see Fred constantly give the ball away, like Danny Van der Beek next to Matic that day, we start progressing up the field a little bit more now. Was it you that said to me, when he does play, he looks tired straight away? Like,
No, Steve.
Breathing out his arse all the time.
Steve's noticed that.
You're going to be if you play once every 2 weeks. Or you're getting 5 minutes, and then 30 minutes, and then 60 minutes. Now, he needs to play, man. You need to play him. Now, again, we've been fucking all pre-season, all that stuff. It kind of just builds up, doesn't it?
Yeah, snowballs a bit.
You gotta play him, man. And I think we've shot ourselves in the foot a little bit. And remember Rooney with Fergie? Fergie used to laugh at him when he was angry, and he used to rest him. Like, it's almost like we're just saying, right, if Bruno wants to play, he's going to play.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to protect him from himself. And we never dropped him. We rested him against Liverpool in the Cup.
Which we
won. But then Sociedad at home with a 4-0 lead. We started him.
That was mad. And we still didn't win.
What is the thinking, like, what is the thought process behind that? Because I can't get my head around it.
Yeah, I don't know why we did that. We talk about Pogba there. There's been reports. Andy Mitten was one of the first people that I saw report it.
He was the first with a Norwegian. Was it a fan club, supporters club?
Yeah, I think it was. And he said that Paul Pogba is willing to talk about a new contract at Manchester United. Now he's got, well, essentially 1 year left on it. And once this year finishes, he's got 1 year left that United I think have activated already, or if they haven't, they will. I think they have actually already activated it. Raiola said, I think it was in January, wasn't it, just before the RB Leipzig game that we were 3-0 down in after 40 minutes, that Paul Pogba at Manchester United is over. That is done. He's going basically at the end of the season. First of all, do you think that's still the case? And secondly, if it isn't still the case, why don't you think it is? What's changed? And do you think he will sign a new contract?
Raiola's also slowly backed those comments down a bit. Every interview he's done since then has been I can't talk about Pogba, people go mad. And then it's been, oh, well, you know, what I say doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, I'm just the agent. Anyway. I'm just the agent.
Like,
I don't know.
Like he's slowly backed those comments down, and Pogba's performances on the pitch have made you think that these two things ain't linking up. But it's been like this.
Yeah, me too.
So I went with, when we were on pre-season tour, I was like, he's staying this summer, but he'll go next summer. Like, definitely he's gone next summer. The next summer came, and he didn't go. And then
which was the summer just gone.
Yeah, and then I thought, he's definitely signing a new deal now, because otherwise...
What's the point?
Yeah. And then it's gone. All right, now he's definitely not signing a new deal. He's gone. And now it's like, I think he's signing a new deal.
Do you?
Now I still have in the back of my mind, he might leave, or he's going to leave. But I'm starting to feel like the environment is being built for him to sign a new deal. We've also got to realise, and we did comment this at the time, but it kind of gets lost in all the furore of, oh my God, did the agent just say that? We all said, this might even just be him trying to get a bigger deal.
A negotiating
Part
tactic.
of them negotiations.
You got to give me more than De Gea.
Yeah. So I think Paul Pogba will be at Man United next season.
With a new deal or not?
He doesn't stay without a new deal.
You don't think?
Because then he's going on a free, isn't he?
Well, yeah, but
at the end of the
he might get us a trophy in the meantime.
But no, I don't think United look to do that again.
No,
because then you're literally saying to me, you know, Raiola, go and make as much money as you want. So.
Yeah, signing on fees and all that stuff.
I don't think United would want to do that. So, I think he'll sign a new deal, and then we might be in a position.
Do you want him to sign a new deal? Are you not sick? You're not sick of all the every single year.
I'm
it's
not one
more
of these
and more
guys
and more
that have fallen for every little thing about Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
So there's some people that everything they read about him, and from his agent, and all the things Jose used to say, and they've built up this image of Pogba where they can't wait to get rid of him. I've never had that.
No.
So I've had a thing where if you're not serious about us, then do one. But he's my guy, man. I want him to stay. And I think what you're seeing is with Bruno is what happened with Pogba at the start of his United career. He comes in, he looks, wow, yes, this is the guy.
Yeah.
That's going to bring us to the Premier League.
Come on, then,
title.
win us the league.
And then,
yeah,
slowly but surely, everything catches up around you. That adrenaline of just arriving at a club, that all comes down, and it's who's next to me? Are they good enough? I don't know. And I think that's where Bruno is at the moment. And getting Pogba and Bruno together. You've seen Bruno with Pogba, bro, commenting on all his pictures, and I know he comments
Pogba.
on a lot
Everyone
of pictures.
Loves Pogba.
But
everyone who meets him says he's the nicest guy. He's the funniest guy.
I think everyone knows. We can't we want that. We want him to.
If he does go, we have to replace him. We can't be like Van der Beek. Van der Beek will do it. What we've learned in the last few weeks.
I wouldn't be surprised if Van der Beek left.
Maybe
because then you need to buy another midfielder. How do you free up the money for that? And then you start to question yourself on whose fucking signing was Van der Beek.
Yeah.
Was it just Ed Woodward going, fuck me, we're shit this summer. Van der Sar, fancy doing us a favour?
Yeah.
Here you go.
Let's get this guy in a weekend.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it just seemed like a tap-in deal for us because it fell through with Real Madrid. Ajax needed the money probably. Donny's head was gone. He wanted to move, and then it does make you question that.
The speed of it all does make you wonder. Did Woodward just ring Van der Sar and go sort us out? Hopefully not.
And they went, "Hey Ollie, I know you wanted Jack Grealish. Look at this. Got you this one for half price."
We've got Jack Grealish at home. Van der Beek's at home. So you think Paul Pogba will stay? You think he will sign a new deal?
I think Paul Pogba stays. I think Martial hits 30 goals next season. Why are you laughing?
Just got some dust in
I do think Haaland comes in the following summer. Sancho will be here in the summer as well.
These are lofty ambitions. These are
facts that is happening.
Absolute facts, and remember that. Take that to the bank. Right, thanks for having me on the podcast on
Sancho's
Howson McKola
coming.
Uncensored. Thank you very much for having me.
I'm glad we ignored the derby on the weekend.
Yeah, well, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about that because if we've lost that, if we lose that game, then what's the point in talking about it? And if we win it, we'll talk about it loads anyway. Yeah, save it for PL Pistake. Oh, imagine how good PL Pistake's going to be when we beat City. Fantastic.
I'll be back on 21 is coming.
Yeah.
Even though.
Yeah, it's still cool.
Do you know what's interesting?
What?
We are 21 away games unbeaten, and they're 21 wins on a spin. Something's got to give, mate.
Something has got to give.
Something's got to give.
Right, that's going to be all. Again, make sure you check out Manscaped in the description. Use code Paddock20 at checkout for 20% off and free shipping on all of their good stuff. I've been Stephen Howson. That has been Adam McKola. This has been Howson and McKola Uncensored.
Nope.
Premier League.
Nope. McKola and Howson Uncensored.
McKola and Howson
We went
Uncensored.
to a vote and everything.
And you won.
Yes.
Good lad. See you in a bit.